and we're interviewing today Superheroes Unlimited and Sapphire Nova Cosplay. Hello, everybody. Um, First off, how did you both get into cosplay? Like, how did you discover it?
I'd say she started it.
Yeah. Honestly, like I've been cosplaying pretty much my entire life. I just didn't know it had a name back then. I mean, I've been, dressing in costume and characters. Heck, I mean, I pretty much lived in my costumes as a child. And then, as I grew older, I found like people went to like midnight movie premieres and Comic Cons and all those kind of things in costume. So I started doing that, and then met this guy, and I drug him along to it, and kind of got him, peripherally into it. He doesn't really cosplay a whole lot, but
I'm too busy running everything, and since we have like I don't know somewhere like 60 models on staff or so, I'm way too busy outfitting all of our models and cosplayers with costumes. And since generally what I do is run around at cons managing everything, um, because what the company does is convention consulting now. It is a majority of what we do in addition to the costume creation. And I spend most of my time literally just running around like a con owner, handling everything, and can't do that in a costume. So,
No, it'd be a little bit sweaty, probably.
oh God, yes, it'd be just death. We did what was it? Kamea Con 2018.
sounds right. Maybe 20.
It was 20. Was it
2017?
2017?
I don't know. 2018, 2017.
They blur. I did a King Kai cosplay. Was what I hosted like the cosplay contest in, and I just almost died in that thing. Just giant robe and everything, trying to run around and getting dressed before the cosplay contest and getting out of it after to handle everything, and it's just too much with what I do. So
Yes, of course. So, Sapphire Nova, I guess this would go to you. What was your very first cosplay?
The one I kind of quote, because again, like, I lived in costumes as a kid. Like, I was, every princess under the sun. Like, I had the princess dress. I, wore it to school if I could. I was that kid.
She threw Dragon Balls in the woods.
Yeah, I was a kid for sure.
I guess maybe what was your first con cosplay then?
My first con cosplay was Gamora, actually.
Yeah.
That was the first one, like, I created for a convention, like, spent, like, actual time working on and making, so, as opposed to, like, the other stuff, like, again, I went and caught, like, I kind of quote my first one as being an elf from Lord of the Rings for a midnight movie premiere.
Oh, nice.
But really, it was a prom dress, and I made a cloak, and this cloak was awful. It was like so small. The hood was so small it fit on my head like a dunce cap, as opposed to like a hood. But I didn't plan correctly because I didn't know how to. So it was an awful cloak. But I was so proud of it.
I'd say even before New York Comic Con, though, Gamora, we did the Avengers premiere when I went as Hulk and you went as Black Widow.
Yeah.
Even.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's true when you do so many cosplays, it's kind of they run together,
Yeah.
Really got a giant Dropbox filled with 6 years of photo shoots, and we're like, I don't remember doing that. And it's like, well, there's a picture there. We had to have done it. And we're like, when was this?
Yeah, exactly. So what? What?
Cosplay is in our closet right now.
Yeah.
It's true.
So what are your next cosplay plans? Like what's like
It's kind of a tricky one because like I've always got a ton in progress.
Yeah, she's currently actively building like 10 different costumes right now in various stages and forms. Like I mean, I think today we're doing
that's crazy.
Wings.
Yeah.
We're building wings for
Hell Witch is a comic. Lady Death. She's one of kind of her partnering characters.
Okay.
Building those, but the great thing about those wings is they're also going to be interchangeable. So I'm also working on Demona from Gargoyles, and this is Aries. Aries is going to join
He's our puppy.
Time.
Nice.
stretch, give some kisses.
Hey, dogs have to get kisses, of course.
Yes.
Oh,
He
they
needs to
need
be the
all
center
of
of
them.
attention.
Yeah, of course.
Working on those ones. I'm fixing up. I just made a poison ivy, so I'm fixing a little bit on her. What else do I have? I'm working on Major from Ghost in the Shell. I'm working on goodness, I'm like trying to even think like.
I don't even know what the hell she's building on.
See, I'm still trying to get the Doctor Strange cosplay together.
I'm working on a Wonder Woman, a Casey Jones, an Urza from Fairy Tale, a Yayarozu, a new Lady Death. I have to like look at my list in order to tell you. Just finished up Amina from My Hero Academia.
Okay.
The list goes on forever.
Yeah, of course. It's true because a true cosplayer has like multiple cosplays going at the same time. That's what they say. So have of course you've been in cosplay contests. Derek, you've ran a few of them, of course, and
Lot.
just and you've ran quite a few too, as well as judging probably as well.
Yeah.
So what would be, I would say, your favorite cosplay contest? Like one of your favorites.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, honestly, like it's kind of hard to say because if we're running them, they're all kind of the same in the sense like the way we run them is kind of the same. However, it's all about the level of dedication from the people that bring their costumes. So,
of course. So what about the one that you were in personally, like as the cosplayer?
It's been a long time since I've been in.
It's like it's
We really like. I guess to answer that question, it requires a little back side of it.
Okay.
It's like essentially we don't really go to cons for fun. This is a business. It's work. Like we have fun, but it is work. So like generally any convention we're at, we're featured guests and we're running their events. We're not just casuals going in anymore. And so we don't really compete in contests because
at this point it's not really fair. This is my life and my livelihood. To go in and enter a costume contest, it's not fair against the people that are just working a 9-to-5 job and then coming home and trying to fit in making a costume in between their life. Whereas like I get to devote my life to this.
And we often like prize support various contests even if we're not running it. Nice. So it's actually part of our company policy that none of our staff is allowed to compete in contests that we're supporting to avoid any kind of impropriety in any way. Because
of course,
being in the cosplay world, I'm sure you've seen all the dark side of you did this, you did this, and blah blah. And we're like, not even having a habit.
Yeah. So. Well, cosplay drama is always going to happen in some aspect.
Well, in the other room, guys.
Even if you're doing everything 100%, there's still going to be drama.
Yep.
So, Sapphire Nova, do you prefer sewing, armor making, or wig working?
Honestly, my favorite's wigs.
Wigs.
I love making wigs. Like it's kind of a fun challenge. I've gotten better with sewing over time. And so I'm kind of like, I'm starting to feel better and enjoy that one more and more. But I really like armor making when like it turns out right. Mm-hmm. There's some times where it's really, really frustrating and I want to throw my armor out the window. But I like them all for different reasons, but I would say wig is probably my favorite. I really do enjoy making wigs.
And for you? Superheroes Unlimited?
For me, I don't really do the fabrication per se anymore. I've definitely never really been the artistic guy. I'm the form and function guy. So a lot of what I do for the company, and a lot of people don't even realize this because they think I just manage everything. Mm-hmm. Every single order that goes through our company goes directly through me. So there's no like third-party person anybody talks to. Everything goes through me. Every design, every order, and a lot of what I do is I translate the the fantasy into reality. So, like a great example I use is one of the tiered paladin sets from Warcraft. Somebody wanted us to make, and part of that build is they've got a floating orb above the shoulder, and it's floating. So, like, obviously, magic doesn't exist in the real world to make floating orb, you know. And so, like, I have to come up with ways to translate that to keep it true to the character, but simultaneously, like, create that effect. So, like, for that one, for example, we ended up having to use, like, crystal clear tubing to support a foam ball on top that was then pushed in, blah, 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 blah.
Of course.
One sec.
That's right.
Basically, we call him the architect.
The architect.
So he's designing everything, but not building it himself. You know, just like they design the building, they don't actually go and, you know, lay the pipe. They don't put in the steel beams. You know, the architect.
And it works really well because I, again, since I'm managing everything, running everything, you know, all the networking, all the media, all the other stuff we have to do, all the celebrity booking, the 9 billion things the company takes to run.
Of course.
I don't have to actually do the physical creation, nor do I have the patience. If something doesn't work, I just take a blowtorch to it. So,
so duct tape is your blowtorch. Or blowtorch is your duct tape, I guess.
Exactly. Blowtorch and duct tape. If duct tape don't make it work, burn it to the ground. It works.
There you go. So, Sapphire Nova, when you're doing your photo shoots for your brand, do you prefer to do photo shoots at cons or at specific locations?
Location, for sure. I mean, cons can be fun. The problem is it's finding cool, like, backgrounds where, like, not everybody's at. So, you know, it's usually either, like, a wait to get to that, or, like, it's the same photo that, you know, 100 other people have, or, you know, you have, you know...
Gazebo Catacon.
Of other people behind you, you know, so it's just not as fun. Whereas, like, locations are fun because they're more inspiring to me. Okay. So, you know, it's a lot more fun to be able to, you know, go and, you know, jump on top of a cool rock, or, you know, wow, this, you know, bench here is really, you know, it's really inspiring, and it shows me, okay, maybe I'm going to put this on this way, or maybe I'm going to do this thing. So, you know, having a location for sure really influences the way I take my pictures. So I love shooting on location.
Nice. So, what is the character that you cosplay most frequently for conventions or for, you know, for anything?
Probably Lady Death is my number one character I cosplay most commonly. I used to do a lot of Starfire. I don't do her as much anymore. Gamora's another big one. Majin Buu, definitely.
That's a lot of makeup for Lady
Death. Yes, all of those actually. There's a lot of makeup that goes into it. Starfire is my quickest paid job at about an hour and a half.
Wow.
Lady Death usually takes about 2.5 hours. Gamora is like 2.5, 3. Majin Buu is usually about 2.
One of the big things we pride ourselves on, and one of the rules we have is, especially at conventions, our focus is that there's a reason we're behind a table and professionals, and so our rule is we have to look better than 90% of the people in the building, because otherwise, why are we a pro behind a table?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And that's not to say we're better than anybody or anything like that, but like...
But it's your business.
Exactly. It's like you don't want to go to a football game and watch a guy that throws like an average Joe. You know, that's not what you're paying to go see. You know, and so that's why, like, the body paints and things like that, the more technically difficult costumes is what we focus to bring out at cons. And then we have, like, casual ones like this, where it's like, realistically, anybody could make this one, but we still do it high quality. But you could see, you know, 20 trunks at a convention, but you're only going to see one Lady Death or one Gamora.
Yeah, exactly.
We want you to see that, you know. So, yeah, that's a goal.
No, it's always good to, like, bring out your best when you have this as your business, because you, like you said, people are paying you to to see you, and
you know. Well, and it's something that's always bothered us, and I mean to this day bothers us when we go to a convention and we're sitting next to a cosplay guest who's wearing a Deadpool costume.
Yeah.
You know,
And you're like,
or you know, Hot Topic. Like it's crazy when we go to some of these cons and we're like, we play Hot Topic bingo with some of the cosplay, where we're like, we know everywhere on the Hot Topic wall you got your costume from, you know. And it's one of those, like, you know, again, we don't think everybody needs to make their costumes because obviously we sell costumes.
Yeah.
But when you're a pro, the level of your costume, whether it's made by someone else or made by yourself, should be top tier. You know, that is why you are a pro. Because if you're just going and buying a costume from Hot Topic, anybody can go do that. You know, on either line. You know, so what makes you a professional cosplayer at that point?
Yeah, so that would, you know.
Showing up at.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that would bring me to the next question. What constitutes a cosplayer as a pro cosplayer versus just average or amateur cosplayer? Would you say like the building of the cosplay?
No, I mean, well, at the end of the day, the difference between pro and amateur and anything is you're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's most simply put. But actually, you know, the pros are the ones at the conventions with the booth. They're the ones, you know. I mean, we're the ones that are making this our living.
I mean, I would even define that further with, you know, dogs. I would even define that further in the sense that, like, there's a lot of pro cosplayers that I don't think should be pro cosplayers.
Yeah, of course.
But that's one of the things we do for conventions is conventions bring us on to help them judge who should be a guest.
Yeah.
And I look at it like this. To be a pro cosplayer, like Saf said, you know, at the end of the day, you need to get paid for it. But there's people that get paid that shouldn't be. But I look at it in the sense of, what are you bringing to the community? What are you bringing to the convention? Because we get asked that a lot. We're guesting at about 25 plus conventions a year as full featured. Yeah, not this year, but you know, as full featured guests. And that's the exact question. How do I become a pro cosplayer? And I run a whole panel on it. And probably the biggest thing I say is step one: what value do you bring to a convention? Whether it's monetary and more ticket sales, whether it's quality of content as far as like panels you're running, whether it's, you know, encouragement in the community, how you connect, the quality of your costumes, that sort of thing. What value does a con get from you by bringing you out? You know, and our goal all the time is to be 2.5 times whatever we charge a con. You know, if we charge a con $500, I better be bringing them $1,500 of value. Because con's business at the end of the day.
Of course.
And I think the big thing with the professional word is that anyone says they just put professional in front of it. You know, you're a professional interviewer. You know, look, you know, I'm a professional comedian. Have I ever done a skit anywhere? No. Have I told jokes? Yeah, I'm a professional comedian, right?
Sure.
You know? and that's the issue you see a lot in the community, and I think is a very big issue in the cosplay community, especially, and same with photographers and stuff like that.
Exactly.
People who aren't professionals say they're professionals, or somebody gets in at like a library con, and now they're, you know, can I swear, by the way?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, so like, I wanted to ask.
No, you're good.
Like, you know, someone gets into the library con and suddenly they're king shit of the hill, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're all like, well, I've been a featured guest at blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, cool. You were at a library con with 50 people. They let anybody that asked for a table be a guest there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make you a professional, you know?
Understandable. Yeah.
You know, I mean, well, remember that we were in a con in North Carolina where we actually had the very discussion come up. And remember that? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Those girls were so angry at me. Because someone came up and asked that very question. It's, you know, how do you get invited to so many cons? How do you do pro cosplay? And I'm like, well, you show up on time. You advertise the convention correctly. You bring your top tier costume game. you interact with fans regularly. You don't be a diva. You treat this as a job.
Yeah.
Just common sense job rules. All the while forgetting that the professional cosplay pair next to us had shown up late. Were in literally like regular clothes, really.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
regular clothes.
And you're like, what?
Like, it's kind of like right now I'm cosplaying as a random citizen.
Yes.
That
There you
was
go.
basically their pro table cosplay. They showed up late. They were only interacting with people for like they'd spend 1 hour out at their table and then like 2 hours recuperating. And it's like, right? Like, it's just one of those like,
Yeah, because I personally have seen you guys over at cons and Sapphires constantly, constantly
oh yeah,
talking to people.
oh yeah. I mean, we take a lunch break and then whatever panels and stuff. But other than that, we're working.
Yeah.
Half the time I have lunch break at the table talking to people.
Yeah,
True.
because like I'm just gonna eat just real quick. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't mind here for a second.
Of course. Well, like, we gotta eat. It's important. So
I've
here,
even done that.
yeah, right. It's like if you're having fun, I always say like you forget to eat, and so somebody has to tap your shoulder and go, "Hey, you haven't eaten." It's like, oh, yeah.
There's a lot like that for me.
Yeah. So here's the name drop opportunity. Who are your favorite cosplayers?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like everybody that works with us. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Anna Kate Cosplay, they are wonderful.
Yes.
Unicorn Princess Cosplay, she's amazing. These are all local Arizona people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some people that like I can say I absolutely admire their skill, but I've never met them personally. Like Kamui Cosplay, I think she's phenomenal, but I've never met her personally, so I couldn't say as far as her as a person, but her work is amazing.
Yeah, I mean Makomi Chan is fantastic. Intraventus we love. We're friends with. I mean we've met a ton of pro cosplayers, but like a lot of the reason we've avoided a lot of cosplay drama is that we don't get involved with a lot of that, and then we're more. I don't know how to put it. Like, Saph interacts with the cosplayers more because she's at the booth most of the time. But name droppy, we really just work with celebrities. Honestly, like we operate in such different spheres than most cosplayers do. Because most cosplayers, like you said, most cosplayers are in their group. Like they only work with cosplayers.
Yeah.
And one of the big things with our company that I've focused on is not being a niche, because there's tons of cosplayers out there, good, bad, etc., etc. There's not a lot of, there's literally nobody else that does what we do for conventions in the entire convention. We're the only one that operates at the levels we do. So yeah, I mean, we've met a ton of people. It's just most cons, it's generally very like smaller niche local people.
Okay.
And like the bigger cons, like I mean, we've seen Jessica Negri, obviously.
Of course.
But I mean, her line, 1,000 people long, so we never really like saw her.
You just saw her from a distance.
Yeah. Not with like Anamia. We've met Ivy Doom Kitty. I'm trying to think of other like big names. I mean, we chat occasionally with Maid of Might we've hung out with, like, there's been a bunch of them, but
no, yeah, in your area of business, it's more like con consulting, like you said, and so how you bring the con together, basically, that's really cool, because like a lot of people need cons, and that's cool that you guys have that the virtual con that you guys do currently.
Yep. That's what we're working on building, growing it.
Yeah, because I think the sad truth is maybe that's our new normal.
I hope not.
I hope not too.
As much as I love what we're doing, and I'm happy that we can at least bring some semblance of a con to people right now, because I'm sure everybody else is missing it as much as I am. You know, it doesn't replace the personal interaction, which is the sad thing.
Yeah.
But you know, try to do what we can, and you know, make it at least as much fun as we can, and you know, give people a chance to interact a little bit, and you know, have something fun to occupy their weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the reality is that, because obviously I'm super in depth with all the COVID stuff and where the research is going, timelines, timetables, dealing with all these conventions and stuff.
Exactly.
And the reality is what it's looking like, you know, barring some catastrophe sort of thing, is that probably the vaccine will be out fallish time. And I think conventions as a whole will probably start picking up around like January, February, March, like beginning first quarter of next year.
Yeah.
I'm telling like 2020 is dead though. Like there will not be any true physical conventions this year.
So not even fan fusion?
No, not a chance.
Yeah. No, it's.
So a lot of people are arguing about it because like, and something they don't get is like a lot of these cons are saying they're still happening.
Yeah.
And the only reason why they're saying that is because the force majeure section of their contract is not engaged yet. So what that is when a convention is running for insurance purposes to kick in, things outside of their control has to end the convention. So obviously COVID is outside of everyone's control.
Of course.
But legally, until a city, a state, whatever comes in and goes, you, Phoenix Fan Fusion, you, blah, 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 Comic-Con, are shut down on your weekend, it is not a force majeure activation of their insurance policies and contract, even though everybody knows it's not happening because you can't have events more than 10 people and blah, 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 pretty much anywhere in the country.
Of course.
So there's a lot of these cons that legally they have to continually put out information. Hey, can't wait to see you. No, we're still going on, because if they say it's basically insurance fraud. If they go, hey, the con's not happening, but we have to say it, so legally they can't say those things.
Of course.
And that's actually the things we do for a lot of cons, is like, there's a lot of legalese involved in the business of cons.
I'm sure.
We can come out and say these things to people and be like, listen, we know from our various sources and connections that XXX and X is happening for XXX and reason, but they can't publicly say it because they'll be in all sorts of trouble because of it.
Of course.
And that's really where 2020 is at. Like a great example is Tampa Bay Comic-Con was promoting, we're not bowing to COVID, blah, 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 blah. Literally 2 days ago, they had to cancel. He goes, you're shut down. And I was like, I saw this coming 2 months ago. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, you know, it sucks, but that's just the reality of, like, keeping everybody safe. And then, like, you know, the thing I'm consistently bringing up is I look at options when I look at things and, like, viewpoints. So, like, there's the reality side and then the PR side of COVID, where you can debate the reality of how dangerous it is, how blah, blah, you know, all the arguing points of COVID.
Of course.
There's the PR side of it for a business. And the PR side of it is it doesn't matter what the reality, people aren't going to show up at a convention. You know, that's just the PR side of it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, it sucks that 2020's gone, but
Unfortunately. But that, of course, that doesn't stop cosplayers from posting on their Instagram and everything like that. You know, as you see with Sapphire Nova, she's constantly still posting, still, you know, showing her fans. You know, exactly. So, what would be your most detailed cosplay? What would be your most detailed cosplay you've done? Would it be Lady Death or?
Lady Death is definitely one of them for sure. One of my newer costumes, Red Sonja, there's definitely a lot of intricate pieces to that one. Even though there's not a lot to the costume, the pieces that are on my body, they're intricate. So that one took me quite a long time to finally get together, especially because it was kind of this, like, I had honestly been working on it all for 2 years, just because it was one of those, like, in the background that, like, I've got an extra minute today, I'll cut, you know, a little bit more foam. I've got some time here today, I'll start stitching together some scales.
Nice.
Isn't it like a guitar thing, or we didn't?
No, remember, it didn't cut well.
Oh,
Yeah. No, because the one thing I like about the Arizona cosplay community is that they don't. They're how can I say it? Body positivity. No matter what size shape you are, you can be a cosplayer type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I love that people are feeling comfortable enough to do that, because that's one of the great things about cosplay and just the nerd culture in general. Like,
Mhm.
we're all nerdy and different and weird in strange ways. That, like, it doesn't matter whether it's your crazy mind like mine,
Yeah,
or your body type or whatever. You can be accepted for who you are, and
exactly.
it's great. People are starting to feel more comfortable with that, because there's things, like, I like to think I don't have a lot of body issues, but I've got my fair share. But
Everybody
it,
does.
and that's the thing. Like, you you've got to feel comfortable enough in your own
Mm-hmm.
skin, and I love people are feeling more and more of that, and they're not getting the body shame for it now, which is great that we've moved
Yeah,
into this better culture for that. And of
yeah,
course, it's gone, and hopefully someday it will be, but it's great that people can feel that confidence, because they should.
yeah. Exactly. No, I think a lot of people feel that. Okay, I have some problem areas here. I gotta tighten up this area. And see, and like a lot of cosplayers like to go for the realism of the cosplay instead of
Mm-hmm.
like their own spin of it. They're like, oh, I want to look like the character. I want to look like, and then they're looking at their body, going, okay, maybe I can't pull this off.
And it's
Um,
like we've talked about, Lady Duck is one of my characters. If you look at the way she's drawn, I mean, the girl has a torso that's like 2 miles long.
yeah,
I don't. I
Nobody's got it.
no,
like,
no one's got that.
I can maybe look like I have a normal sized torso.
If you
Yeah.
want to look up something interesting, Google heroic proportions, and that's actually what comic characters are drawn to. And if
Wow.
you actually take a comic character and use and they've done this. This is why it's called heroic proportions.
Mhm.
If you take a comic character out of a comic book and use like reference sizes of things in the book, like this is the distance of a car, ergo this person has to be X tall and this wide and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Comic book characters look like freaking aliens. They're all like 8 foot tall with like 4.5 foot arms and like 5 foot legs, and like they are goofy looking as hell. And it's because, just like Saf said, like when you draw something, you're not drawing to proportion.
No.
You're
Yeah.
drawing to accentuate things.
Yeah.
So like honestly, I'd say probably 2/3 of all female comic book characters just fall over from being too damn top heavy, really.
Yeah.
you know,
Honestly.
so
Yeah.
like it's stuff like that where like same with the guys. Like the guys have these giant brawny upper bodies, and then they got these tiny little legs, and they look like weird little action figures. Like
Yeah. In reality, if you were that strong and that big, you couldn't even lift your arm like this. Yeah.
exactly. So like
Yeah.
comparing yourself to something that like is so patently not realistic,
Yeah.
physically not possible to achieve those proportions ever,
Yeah.
So that's what I tell everybody when they're like, "Well, I'm trying to be as accurate to the character as possible. I'm going to the gym and blah blah blah." I'm like, "Look up heroic proportions. You'll never look like that. And if
Exactly.
you don't want to
Don't want
look
to
like,
look like that.
so just be happy in your skin. Like again, I'm a bigger guy. Obviously, I got belly.
Mhm.
I'm happy in my skin. Would I like to lose the belly? Sure. Do I want to put in the work for it? No.
No.
You know,
Nobody
like
does. Yeah.
happy in your skin.
Yeah. Exactly. Be happy in the skin. So, what would be your top 3 craftsmanship tips? Like when you're doing armor making, for instance. What are tips that you would?
Epsilon's a great one.
Epsilon, Warblood, and Heat Gun.
Well, I mean, those aren't really. I would say Epsilon as a tip, because a lot of people don't know about Epsilon. It's a. I don't know how you like.
It's a 2-part epoxy resin.
Okay.
That's really easy to use, and we use it on our armor, swords, props, and stuff like that because it a lot of people use like Bondo and gesso and things like that, and they're like plasti dip, and they're like, I spent 9 hours sanding this and 15 layers of Bondo and gesso and blah blah blah, and I go, just use Epsilon. It costs $30. Reynolds Advanced Material sells it. It covers like 7.5 square feet of armor or prop or whatever, and you can paint it on in layers. And what it is it's a self-surfacing hardening resin that remains flexible. So it has all the cool features of like Plasti Dip, where it's flexible, it seals, blah blah blah. But then it also holds everything in shape and in place because it hardens, so it can still move, but it doesn't crack. And it's really nice for that reason of, and the more layers you put on, the harder it gets. So if you want something that's rock hard, you can do that. But the biggest thing about it is it's a self-surfacer, which means it smooths itself. So no sanding. And it saves so many hours of work for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. Because one worry that a lot of cosplayers have is in Arizona, for instance, it gets, surface of the sun hot. And I've seen cosplayers during cons just walking, and all of a sudden their outfit just falls apart, and you're like, "Oh no!" It's like it got too hot.
Hot glue and Warbler aren't exactly the best Arizona materials.
Yeah.
Warbler
was okay. Just don't leave it in your car in the sun.
Yeah. Well, like, I think a lot of what it is like, and not to sound elitist here, but like it's the level of work you put into the costume is what you're going to get out of it, and that's just reality.
Yeah.
And I don't expect people to spend a ton of money. Like, not everybody's going to go out and buy an $80 sheet of Warbler. No. That's a chunk of money for a lot of people. I totally get that for a fun thing. But something like, I guess the way I put it is there's always a difference what you want. Like what do you want out of this costume?
Yeah.
Are you just going to a con to have fun in this? Okay, then don't worry. Build it out of whatever the hell you want. Yeah. I've made costumes out of bed sheets and office staplers. Like, it's not a big deal. Do what you want. Are you competing in a cosplay contest? Are you looking to win a cosplay contest? Obviously, you have to put in significantly more effort, and that's where, like, a little bit of extra money comes in. Versus, I want to be a pro cosplayer. Well, okay, a lot of money comes in. I mean, most of our costumes, material cost wise, start around like probably the $200-300 price point. It is where we start at.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at with my Doctor Strange outfit that we're trying to build. Whew! Just the material alone.
Oh yeah, well, and it's just it's what you want out of it. Do you want the best looking Doctor Strange? Well, great, you're going to spend a chunk of money. Do you just want to be a casual cosplayer? Hot glue the shit out of that thing.
Exactly.
Fun.
Yep.
Grab a red bed sheet. You got a cape, dude.
You got a cape. There you go.
It is. It's all about the level what you want to get out of it.
So Epsilon, Warla.
For like wigs and stuff, a lot of what I, even just casually like getting a lot of style out of them, got to be hairspray. It comes in like a yellow can. You can find it at pretty much any drugstore. If you hit that and like hair dryer, I mean, depending on the wig, don't test your wigs first. That's a big tip right there. But if it's a heat resistant wig, hairspray. Then use the like hair dryer on it. It helps it like solidify really fast, so you can get some really great like gravity defying styles. It's really good.
Yeah, somebody once told me for the All Might wig, Gorilla Glue is your go-to. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
I'm like, that's the only wig you're gonna have for it. That's it. You're never gonna restyle that wig ever again.
I've actually made an all-night wig just with hairspray and a blow dryer, and a lot of teasing. But yeah, you can Gorilla Glue. I use Elmer's glue on a lot of my wigs. Which is great because it's washable.
Washable,
so if you out and you totally can.
I mean, I think probably the biggest tip is you're going to screw up the first time.
Mm-hmm.
and be okay with that. Like I think that's probably the biggest holdback in, frankly, most things in life for most people is the fear of, like, obviously try to mitigate it as much as possible. Do your research, look into it, try to save money where possible, but also be okay breaking things. I mean, I wanted to see how resistant, our logos were to heat. I took a blowtorch to it. Like,
wasn't lying about that.
I'm totally serious.
Right.
I found out that our logos will not melt to a blowtorch, which freaks me out, frankly.
You're like, what are you made out of?
I'm not even kidding. Like, I held a blow to this
Wow.
rubber logo, and it didn't even get hot. It was the weirdest. I held it there for like 3 minutes.
Wow.
It was so weird. But anyways,
another
I digress.
Better tip that nobody's going to listen to, but they should. Don't wait until the last week to start your cosplay.
That was my next one.
Yep.
On crunch, that's why half these costumes end up falling apart, is because you put it off, 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 and suddenly, oh my goodness, the con is next weekend, and now I need to make this costume, and you're going to be up till all hours of the night, which is when you make mistakes, you get tired.
Exactly.
How can you even be having fun when you're, you've had 1 hour of sleep in the last week and a half because you were trying to get your costume all together?
Well, like, I can't even count the number of people who have come to me, like, day of the con, friends of mine, and they're like, oh my god, my costume's not done, can you help me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you have had this plan.
You had, like, for 2 months.
No, I have people come up to me who are like, 2019, they were like, I want to do this at next year, for next year's Tucson Comic-Con. And I was like, we're a month away. Have you started that? No, not at all. And I was like,
planning it for a year.
Planning for a whole year,
Yeah. Banana Cake Cosplay, one part of them, Savannah, is hysterical. We love you, but she is like the worst with it, because like literally like a year ago she was like, I'm gonna do this costume for blah 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 con, and then like a month before she's like, I haven't started it. Like all these cons keep rushing up on me, and I was like, man, if only we knew a whole year ago what dates this show was going to be on. Oh wait, we did. You have nobody to blame. Like,
yeah, exactly.
A year ago that this show was happening on this date, and that's something like I really have no pity for anybody who's like, I'm in con crunch. No, it's all my fault. I knew this was coming up.
My favorite is, I just need to, rehem this shirt. It'll only take me 20 minutes.
Oh,
yeah.
5 hours later, you're still sitting in a sewing machine. No,
going, come on! Yeah. No, exactly.
Take longer than you think they will.
Yup.
So, what would be a horror story of yours, of a cosplay horror story? Kind of like where your costume fell apart, or maybe like you were, like you got dehydrated one time, or like a horror story.
I don't have a lot of them, to be honest. There's only been one time ever that fall apart, and it was my Loki, because it was my first time making like a foam chest plate out of EVA foam rather than Warbler. And so I had it like break on the side, and so I had to like safety pin foam together. But I learned very quickly that I used the wrong glue on it, and I was stupid. So I fixed that very quickly. So it wasn't really a horror story. It was just like, man, this sucks.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of costume failures because we put a lot of like pre-thought, pre-work into everything to make sure we don't. Yeah. And then we super avoid that con crunch too.
Yeah. I do have some horror stories as far as the elements go, though.
Okay.
Because again, we do shoot a lot on location. Yeah, that's one. No, but we've done a couple snow shoots, and usually in as a lady in cosplay, I'm not wearing a whole lot, so so doing things like I just recently shot a Jack Frost, or Jackie Frost is kind of my girlish. But I was barefoot, so
in the snow.
So a little better. But I've done ones like my Red Sonja where I'm wearing a little more than a bikini out in the snow for hours, so it gets very cold very quickly.
Yeah, that Flagstaff shoot, like even for me, I'm a big guy and I'm pretty warm, and it was like knives, like there was points in the day where it was just hard to breathe. It
No,
was
yeah.
so
Yeah, it's
and
are you guys native Arizonians?
Not native, but
Okay.
we've been here for a while. And my blood, I like the heat.
okay,
Yeah,
our house is
yeah.
76, and she walks around in like 3 sweaters and 2 pairs
She's
of
like,
sweats.
mm,
I have a blanket
Yeah,
on me
yeah.
the
yeah.
last couple days. It's freezing.
She's like
And yes,
convulsing on the beanbag, and I'm like, seriously, chill it.
it's freezing.
Yeah.
I like the heat.
She's
Yeah.
like, it's so cold in here.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard with
Freezing.
yeah, it's hard for people who are native Arizonians or people who have like thick blood, basically, to go to Flagstaff and be able to go barefoot in the snow. I couldn't do it. I know I
I
Oh
am
yeah.
couldn't
for snow.
That snow was brutal for all of us. I mean, probably one of the like worst con horror stories relatively, as far as like the elements with KatsuCon 2017?
I think it's 2016.
2016, when the Fire Nation attacked.
do it. No.
There was a kitchen fire and everybody
so
got
dumb.
evacuated from the hotel. And it was negative 18 degrees outside. And I was wearing one of our Sailor Avengers costumes, so I was Captain Moon. So even if you don't know our version, it's basically a Sailor Scout.
Yeah.
Schoolgirl,
Yep.
basically.
Yeah.
So, short mini skirt and no sleeves.
Yep.
And very thin lycra material. And
You're like, I need a coat.
Yeah, no, we weren't allowed to go get coats.
No.
You weren't they shoved you out the door.
They fire evacuated the whole building, vendors
Wow.
included. So what it was there was a small, and I quote, small grease fires. And I don't know if you know what like the Gaylord KatsuCon building looks like,
No.
but it's this huge hotel, and it's basically like a whole city block that's encased in glass.
Okay.
Okay. Essentially what the Gaylord Hotel is. And in that they have like this small like eatery things where they're literally separate buildings inside the building. Okay. And inside one of those kitchens, they had a small grease fire. So even if that whole building burst into flames, it still wasn't spreading anywhere and nobody was truly at risk.
No.
But
yeah.
their
Still.
fire procedure required evacuating the whole building. So
hotel,
they dumped like, I want to say 28,000 people outside.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
All the hotel guests, all the convention people, all the vendors, and like Saf said, it was like negative 8.
It was freezing.
No jackets, no blankets.
That's insane.
Outdoor. And then like the vendors who I got stuck with, we got put on the loading dock.
Oh.
Where not was it ice cold, the way the loading dock was arranged basically made it a wind tunnel. So literally it was howling, screaming wind tearing through there nonstop. So like you didn't even get like that ambient resting heat amongst the cold.
Yep.
Just I mean everybody
wind chill. Yep.
huddled together, like it was terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's never fun to be in the cold. It's never fun. But
I mean, we had the one time with Allie and the blankets. Remember that when she had the allergic reaction?
Oh yeah.
One of our models, we were at a con, and they must have like done something with like the detergent or something, and she had a big old allergic reaction to it. Which was,
not fun.
That was probably like our biggest like health scare relatively at it. Was just we were like, oh god, and she, like we got her cream and she was okay, but it was a really scary moment because we were like, what's going on?
You're like, where's your EpiPen?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So in the cons that you guys do, what it would be your funniest cosplay story?
I'm still preferential to that Hercule.
Oh yeah.
He was. Oh my god. We were at Con, and a guy came up dressed as Hercule from Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And the guy was just spot on the whole convention. And actually, that whole convention was hysterical because Chris Rager was there. And he's the voice of Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball Z. And the character's name is literally Satan. So I have video of like 3,000 plus people going, Satan, Satan, Satan.
That's
Which
funny.
out of context seems terrible, but is hysterical in
Yeah,
context.
of
And that was
course.
probably good. I mean, I've got a bunch of like celebrity funny stories. You know, Duke Nukem making fun of Chris's name, and, you know, stuff like that. But cosplay wise,
I'm trying to think. There have been funny moments.
Yeah, of course. You know, like I said, you guys been doing like hundreds of these things, and it's hard to like kind of go, okay, which one?
Yeah, I mean, we like I said, we do about 25 to 30 plus conventions a year, and we've been doing this for 6 years.
Yeah.
And so we've gone to north of like been featured guests at north of 150 plus convention at this point.
Nice though. It's good.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there was what was that one we really liked? There was a cosplay contest where someone was absolutely hysterical on stage making cracking jokes, and I can't remember what one it was. There was that duct tape cardboard Gundam that was telling jokes at the anime con. He was good. I remember one time, and I don't remember what show it was, but someone was in a costume, and their character was normally like a really serious character, and they slipped going up the steps onto the stage, and then played it off for the rest of the walk across the stage, and they just kept falling down, and they're like, "Just today's not my day. I'm just going to keep falling," and just rolled with it. So that was pretty
nice.
funny.
Nice. Yeah.
I mean, those 3 kids that remember the money ones at the Anime Con that did like the whole choreographed skit, and they threw the money in the air and everything.
There was one little Gohan at entrance.
Oh my god, that little kid!
Who was in like with the full tail and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and his dad. I was like, "Oh my god, you're so cute! Can I take a picture?" And Dad goes, "Do the face," and he goes.
He did the angry Gohan. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think it's always cute when you see the little ones in cosplay, and you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
The link with the fairy was pretty funny. One of the cons we went to, somebody had like dressed as the Link from like the N64 Link.
Yeah.
And had the stupid fairy following him, and all she did all weekend was say, "Hey, listen! Hey, listen! Hey, listen! Hey, listen!" And that's literally all she said. Like even when you're just talking to him, she would interrupt nonstop with, "Hey, listen, Link! Hey, listen, Link! You want to go over there?"
Well, yeah. That's what it does all the time. Yeah.
Sexy Sasuke was hysterical. Remember him? No, you weren't there for that one. That was Atlantic City Boardwalk Con. That actually reminds me of Hooker in the elevator. That was good. So at Atlantic City Boardwalk Con, have you ever seen the Sexy Saxophone YouTube video?
Yes.
Okay, so someone dressed as Sasuke from Naruto and went around with a saxophone and did the
Yeah.
And that was just I love that one. And then that same weekend, I was at the elevator with one of our models, and we were just talking, and we were actually discussing like what you were going to wear the next day, and the convention had us in one of like Atlantic City is all like it's like Vegas, you know, where like the convention's in the casino floor, and then like there's the casino and every ballroom, etc. So like it's obviously not the least sleaziest place you can be. So as we're going down from our hotel room, me and the model were talking in the elevator, and right as somebody got on the elevator, she turns to me, and she had a really sexy voice, and she was just talking normal, and she goes, "I'll wear whatever you want me to wear, Derek." And the people that got in the elevator were like, "Oh my god." And then they get off the elevator, and she turns to me, and she goes, "Why was everybody looking at me wearing?" I'm pretty sure they think you're a hooker right now.
It's like pretty much. Yeah.
Because they didn't walk in at the right point of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we've had like obviously the half makeup moments where after the show we go into like a regular convenience store and she's like half Gamora, or
Or my favorite is going to breakfast at the hotels where I have like makeup on and like green, but I still have like my blonde hair sticking out. Like I haven't put on a wig yet, and like my hands aren't painted.
Yeah.
I like so Starfire's hysterical because her face is all orange and she'll have green eyes, but then she's got naturally blonde hair, and so like all of that looks fine when you have like that bright fiery orange Starfire hair, but you look super weird when you just have blonde hair with all of that on.
Yeah.
And like after the show, she's like, oh, I want this wig off, and so we'll go to like a Walmart or a CVS to pick something up and. People are like, what?
Even better, when we were, so for a while we were living in an RV traveling around the country full time, just going to convention. And so we had come back from a convention. I had been Majin Buu that day. And to the, because we were staying in an RV park, so I went to their showers to shower off. Because that's the best way to get off the body paint.
Of course.
So I'm pink still, but usually I've got like a line right in front of my line that's like natural colored, and then of course my real hair. And I'm walking into the shower, and this woman stops, stares at me, and goes, "Oh, honey, next time you need to wear sunscreen." She legitimately thought I was that pink.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah. No, have you ever lost something at a cosplay? Or like a con?
Lost?
Like something like a piece of your armor or anything? That or you set it on a table and you just like, whoops.
No, not really. I mean, I zealously guard my stuff. I don't dare. Like, if I have a prop, that thing is glued to my arm. Like, there's half the time he'll be like, I can carry that up the stairs for you. I'm like, no, it's part of me.
It's mine. Yeah, exactly. So what stores would you recommend for getting materials, getting props or whatever, stuff like that?
Well, props, definitely ourselves.
Of course, superherounlimited.com.
I mean, materials probably, SAS Fabric.
Yeah, if you're in the Valley, if you're in Phoenix, SAS is great for discount fabrics.
Joann's with funds.
Fabric.com.
Yeah, fabric.com. I mean, the majority of our stuff we order online. Most of our designers do from Fabric on Demand, fabriconline.com, things along those. Or we're really lucky that our main seamstress is based right next to New York, so she just goes to the fabric district. And I mean, honestly, Joann's really kind of has everything. You just got to use their discount coupons.
Yeah.
It's paying price is just nonsense. And I mean, the reality is if you're in your city, you can find I don't want to say off-brand fabric places, but SAS is kind of your bulk fabric place. You know? There's the equivalent of SAS all over the country. I mean, Fabric Warehouse in Jersey is a great one. I mean, it's really just looking up your local area. Probably the best way to do it is go to Joann's and see who actually sews there. Because Joann's generally will hire local mistresses and stuff to run fabric departments and stuff. And just ask them, where do you get your fabric at? Where's the nearest bulk fabric? Or just Google, bulk fabric warehouse, blah, blah, blah city.
Yeah.
I mean, for materials, we generally order from, we get our foam by foambymail.com. Because we don't do floor mat stuff. We order it in big rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a great tip I tell people is if you're really looking to consistently be a cosplayer, you're going to build more than one costume sort of thing, buy in bulk. Don't spend the $20 on a set of floor mats from Home Depot. Spend the $80 from Foam by Mail and get, I think $80 gets us 5 8x4 sheets of foam.
Nice.
Is what we, and it's free shipping. It comes in this giant roll.
You don't have to worry about the offside.
Yeah, it's smooth on both sides.
Nice.
Colored. I think that's probably the biggest issue that a lot of people have is like they're like, well, I spent $400 on this, and I'm like, that's because you bought it all the wrong places.
Makes sense.
You didn't use that coupon at Joann's.
Yeah.
Okay, so most of our fabric runs like anywhere between $5 to $15, depending on how fancy we're getting.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I see, your starter price for most Joann's fabric is $17.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. And then the other thing is just like, using common sense. I see that happen a lot with cosplay builds is people are so focused on character accuracy that they're not using any common sense in the build, and they're like, I can't move because I put spikes here. And it's like, yeah, that's really cool in a drawing that doesn't
In a drawing.
move, but nobody's going to have a spike in their armpit on a real set of armor. You know why? Because you got to hold your arm like this all day, and that's just dumb. Lose the spike. Well, it's not 100% character accurate. And I'm like, okay, well, but now you can put down your arm.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that don't be afraid to make an adjustment to the design to make it better for you. Like I said earlier, like I have a very short term, and I know that about myself. So when I plan costumes and when I design costumes, I design things that don't take away from that; they add to it. So yes, a character might have a top that goes down a little bit lower, but I know if I do it that way, it's going to make my torso look even shorter, and it's going to make me look shorter.
Yeah.
So, make changes based on your body. Only you know your body.
Exactly.
And you know what's going to make you look best. Whatever artist or, whatever character you're replicating, when that wasn't drawn with you in mind. That was drawn with this character in mind. And so you have to make adjustments sometimes to make things look better for you.
And I can say with 100% truthfulness, having talked to hundreds of artists, they didn't have any thought about the real world when they characters.
Yeah.
We've had extensive conversations with like Billy Tucci is a great example. He's got this gorgeous costume that we're looking to build, and it's a Harley Quinn. And we've talked to him before because we want to build it, but we have no idea what the backside looks like. And he goes, I go, Billy, what's the backside of this looks like? He goes, I don't fucking know. I just do the front of it.
Just need the front of it.
Come on. And he's like, really, dude? I have no fucking idea what the back of this looks like. I just do the front. And that's the same thing with like all these artists is like they have absolutely like I mean,
or even like I just recreated James C. Mulligan's. He did a Jessica Rabbit done in the style of Tower of Terror. But even in the picture he drew, she's turned so slightly that you can't quite see what's happening, like in like this.
The front
section.
area, yeah.
Oh, he's straight up like on. I can actually see on that he gave me. He's actually hand drawing what he envisions the section to be. Because it's one picture, and a lot of times that's we as cosplayers are trying to
interpret.
Yeah.
Or like, remember when Denise made that Captain America all wrong because she so there we made a costume for a customer, and customer loved it, by the way, but it was Captain America, and it was one of the another versions of Captain America, so it wasn't
Young Justice.
Yeah, it was like Young Justice or something like that. And when the artist drew it, it was like this scale quilted chest thing. Okay. And drew it, and it's basically all black with blue shading on it. So as someone who reads comics, it's very clear that it's actually blue, and he's just putting all that black in as an artist to accent everything, basically.
Okay.
But it's probably like 75% a black uniform, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So our seamstress, who doesn't read comics, she's just an amazing seamstress, builds this whole thing, and she goes, it's ready to go. And I go, shoot me a picture, I want to see it. And she shoots it to me, and I go, why is it black? And she goes, well, because it's black. And I go, no, it's supposed to be like royal blue. And she's like, it's not blue, the picture you sent me was black. And so we shot a picture of the customer, he was super happy with the original, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, there's so much of this that's open to interpretation, and like one of the things I do in my like architect role
Yeah.
is how do you keep the core of a character while cutting costs or making it fit reality or changing things around and things
Yeah.
along those of like what truly makes a character. Like for example, I use Superman a lot, or even Batman. What makes Superman and Batman? It's not all the bells and whistles, it's the logo. The
Yeah.
logo is what makes the character. If your logo's right and you have most of the other colors right, people
Yeah.
will know it's who you are. They know what you're going for. And that's the real intent is I kind of look at it how like if you have the first letter of a word and the letter of a word and all the letters are jumbled in the middle, you still know what the word is because your brain
Exactly.
sorts it.
Hmm.
It's kind of like that. Like there's a lot of things you can cut from a costume because I hear it all the time. I don't have the budget for that costume. I can't do this costume. How does
Yeah.
everybody have amazing costumes? And
Yeah.
I go, it's because they started on a piece of it. A lot of the casual cosplayers who aren't pro cosplayers, but you see at a lot of cons with amazing costumes. That
Yeah.
wasn't a one-time build. I mean, I remember talking to that a Loki cosplayer, female Loki cosplayer,
Mm.
and she did it super authentic with like leather, and everything. And she said flat out, this has been an evolving costume for 4.5 years. As I get the money for it, I put $100 there, $50 there. I get this piece, I upgrade that piece, I
Hmm.
connect this thing. And that's something to always bear in mind when you're building costumes is like you don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
perfect off the go if you're just having fun with it.
Yeah.
If you're in a full Ezra costume and you just want to wear the wings because they're super cool, wear the fucking wings.
Right.
Go for
Exactly.
it. Like, get the wings done and then get everything else, or get the dress done and then get the other parts. Like, who cares? You
Yeah.
know, just say hey, I'm a casual Ezra. I just wanted my wings out today. Like
Yeah. So, do you feel that like when you buy a cosplay from a maker, sometimes you have what you look at the cosplay and you say, okay, that looks like that in the movie, for instance, and then you get the cosplay from the creator, and it's just like solid blue colors, solid red colors. There's no detail. There's no detail whatsoever, and you just spent like $200 on that cosplay, and you're like, okay, whoa. And you're like, that's interesting. Where you see it in the movie, and then you get the actual cosplay, and you're like, wow, that's not so good.
well, we don't have that issue because all of our
Of course,
are made.
you,
Uh,
yeah.
and we don't really like we don't buy costumes from anyone else. Like we have a whole
Have you
little cat.
ever have you ever
But
bought them to see what the market is and say, okay, okay, this is
oh
their
yeah, no, I,
quality?
I all the time. Like
Yeah,
100% that happen all the time,
yeah.
and that's really just uh, to be totally bluntly honest about it. The truth
Hmm.
is, it's because people have unrealistic expectations of prices. If you order something from China, you're going to get China quality.
Yeah,
If you spend $50 on something that's very clearly should be $500, you're getting $50 of value.
of
And this
course.
matter if someone promised you this or their other work looks amazing. Like use common sense.
Hmm.
If someone orders, an Iron Man suit and they pay $100 for it, they're obviously
You're gonna
not
get.
getting a good Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I think pretty much everybody can. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people can agree. Like $1,000 is a lot of money, right?
Hmm.
To everybody, $1,000 is a lot of money. But if I went and said I spent $1,000 on a car, I probably didn't get a very good car.
Nope.
And so, it's all about you have to have a realistic expectation of what the cost is.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
$100
yeah.
is a lot of money to spend, but if if that's the kind of depending on what it was that was bought, if that's the kind of quality that can come from it, then it sucks.
yeah,
But
Exactly.
it has to, and it's also the fault then on the designer for not explaining that to whoever bought that product that hey look,
Mm.
you can spend $200 on the product, but in reality all you're going to get is a solid blue, is a solid red. You're not going to be able to get all the
Yeah.
I mean,
so
Exactly.
there are both sides.
yeah, I
True
mean, I
that.
look at it this because we get it all the time. Like I had a guy to us because I constantly do price quotes. We offer free price quoting, off the cuff quotes of like,
Yep.
hey, what costume we want? I look at a picture and I go, it's going to be in this ballpark range. You know, if that's a number you can work with, great. I'll go to our designer. I'll get a solid price, and then we can get into the nitty gritty of like, hey, I only have X amount of budget to spend. Can you make it for this?
Yeah.
You know, and I had one guy shoot me. Oh my god, he wasted probably a week of my time and just could not get it. So he was like, I want a Master Chief costume, you know, Halo. I want Iron Man. I want like a Praetorian Guard from Halo, which is these are all like full armor stormtrooper sort of thing.
Exactly.
I was like, dude, for any type of build like that, you're north of $1,000. Well, what can $200 get me? Nothing. You know, what could you get out of cardboard? No, we don't do garbage.
What the heck?
Like,
wow.
Well. Again, like, there's a lot of good cardboard builds, but like,
but still, you know, takes
cardboard build to someone.
Yeah.
So like, that's the thing is like, you gotta have realistic expectations. You know, and I tell people flat out, like, we've had people ask us Spider-Man costumes before, and I'm like, listen, go to Zentai Zone, spend your $60 on the screen print from China, and you might have to order 2 of them to get a good one, but you're out $120. You know, if we, because like, and these are real world prices right now. So a Spider-Man costume, it doesn't matter what one, realistically, any of them. Okay, $60 on Zentai Zone for a Spider-Man costume. If we make, because all of our stuff is made in the U.S. So we make it, I have to send it out to Fabric on Demand. First, I have to make someone make the print file for the screen printing, which costs us about $75 to have it. Then the screen printing alone is $40 a yard.
Wow.
To make a costume is at least 3 yards, depending on the size of the minimum. Okay?
Wow.
You're looking at $120 just for the fabric, $75 for the designer, and that's before I even get it to the seamstress. Once I get it to the seamstress and she makes everything, she charges me about another $120 because it takes her a fair amount of time to stitch everything together.
Of course.
All right. Okay, so right off the bat, my cost as a company is, what is that, like $100 for that?
Well, $240 for the 2.
Yeah, $240. So like it cost me about $300, $340 roughly is my cost. That's before I add a company markup and any profit margin for my company.
Of course.
So, you know, I'd sell something like that probably around like $450, $475 because I've got to make money on it.
Of course.
And then there's processing fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're at like $450, $475 for a Spider-Man suit from us when you can just go to Zentai Zone and buy it for $60. And I tell people flat out, I go, if you want something unique to you and original, et cetera, yes, go spend that money. Otherwise, if you just want to be a Spider-Man, go order it on Zentai Zone. You
exactly.
Remember the Savage Land Rogue? So somebody asked us about Savage Land Rogue, and all Savage Land Rogue's costume is it's her wig, it's a torn up yellow shirt, and it's a green shirt that's just like wrapped around her waist. Like, you know, it's just strapped fabric, really.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, buy the wig from us because we can do the wig, right?
Yeah.
But those scraps of fabric, go to Goodwill, find a green shirt, find a yellow shirt, and just torch them a little bit, cut them up, ice them a little bit, because for me to have a designer make that, I've got to charge you, you know, a minimum like $75 to have them mess around with it. When it's really like $8 for you to go do this. You know, that's one of the things. Like, I think designer, like commissioners should take responsibility for. Is I really hate when someone gets something commissioned that can easily be made on your own, and a commissioner just won't tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, or not even if like you ask a commissioner how to do it and they won't. But that they don't proactively offer that. You know, I you know, again, we make kids' costumes. I say flat out to most parents, this is not worth it for you to spend this money on. You know, these are going to be like $300-$400 costumes, and we can design them so that the kid can grow into them, et cetera, et cetera. But let's be honest here. Your 4-year-old is not going to remember mommy spent $400 on.
No, exactly.
Like, if you really want to do it, we'll make it, but it's not realistic,
Yeah.
for your average people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big issue in the community is commissioners doing that. I remember talking, obviously we consistently hire new designers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to a commissioner and she goes, I'm booked all the time, blah, blah, blah. And she showed me a picture of one of the costumes she was working on. And it was some monk character from like Smite or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And basically all the dude is he's got a bunch of big balls around him as a monk, and then like an orange like dress thing or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's really all there is to the costume. And I go, well, what do you charge the customer for this? She goes, $1,800. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, my standard markup's 80% on top of my materials. And I was like, but that's not how work works. Like that's not how you budget. Standard market anywhere is like 50%.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm like, that's crazy. And she goes, I go, how much? Well, the materials were only like $100. But my general pricing for most of my costumes was $1,500, so I charged $100. And I'm like, how long did that take you to make? Well, it only took me like 4 or 5 hours. And she's like, it really helped me make awesome. And I was like, but that's not fair to that customer. Like, it's not his ability to make up the budget for all your other costumes because he's dumb enough to spend $1,800 with you.
My God, that's crazy.
And I mean, like, for example, we sell a rogue costume, and it's a bodysuit we make in-house. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We sell our entire rogue costume for, I want to say, like, what, 60, 400, something like that. Jacket, wig, costume, whole shebang. Yeah. And you can find on Etsy that literally a screen printed bodysuit, not even a made bodysuit we're making. Like, we're making it with different fabrics. Yeah. They're just screen printing. You can find the exact same thing, well, the bodysuit, for like $700 on Etsy. And they've sold tons of them. And they're just buying them $30 from China.
Yeah. That's craziness.
And it's just, that's the first person they conned.
Yeah.
That's the first got.
No, that's exactly. Because I remember I was speaking with you over at a con one time, and I was interested into an Altair Assassin's Creed cosplay. Because if you look at the pattern of that, and the many layers it takes, and the many craftsmanship that it takes, I'm like, and I think you quoted me like $1,500. I'm like, that is the best price ever because that would take forever to make. It is. It's so many layers, so many intricate things, and it's like, yeah, that's an amazing price. I would expect like 2 to 3, maybe even 4,000 for Altair, like for a nice cosplay, And I was like, phew, But moving on, what would you say? Do you prefer to cosplay? I guess this would be for Sapphire Nova as a group or solo.
A little of both, to be honest. I love doing group cosplays. However, groups suck.
Yeah.
It's so hard to like pick people down and like get commitments. And then the way that I look at it is, I don't like to cosplay one time and one time only, and that I'll never wear that costume again.
Yeah.
So why do I spend all that time and money to make it?
Yeah.
So it's really hard for groups to like find consistency. Like, hey, we're gonna have 5 people for this, every single time, and nobody's going to back out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or last minute sick or family emergencies.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we have it better than most people since obviously we're a company, so we have staff on hand, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And even for us, it's difficult doing groups just because just life, let alone just a grouping of people who are like, I'll do this, Our people are on contract and it's still difficult.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
As far as like ease, and I know everything will always work, I do love doing solo cosplays for that reason, just because it's, I know I can rely on me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably as a company, our only real group cosplays are probably like the Sailor Scouts,
The Sailor Scouts,
the
Sanderson
Sailor,
sisters.
the Sailor Avengers, the Sanderson sisters.
I think that's really good.
I think that's really
And then
it.
we
Like,
have, so like the way I like to do group cosplays is like, we're all gonna do a Dragon Ball character. Okay, so for this con we'll have out Trunks and we'll have out Majin Buu and we'll have out Piccolo.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
yeah. And so we're a group, so to speak, but like
if someone doesn't show up, you're fine as a standalone.
Exactly. Or today we're all Marvel or all DC or something like that, where we all kind of work within a theme, but we're not necessarily a group. Whereas like with like the Sanderson sisters, if you're missing one of the sisters,
it makes no sense. Who are you?
Yeah.
And or even just in the sense of like we're gonna be in costume. This is decided to go off to get lunch right now, which is completely reasonable to do. However, now the other two are sitting there looking kind of strange, and the one off kind of strange. And there's just a lot of problems with it that a lot of times it's just not worth.
Yeah.
Like I
exactly.
love doing group cosplays, and I'd love to do more of them because there's so many awesome ones out there. But it's just sometimes.
Yeah, I think like group photo shoots are a great idea.
Mhm.
Group cosplays, like unless you're planning to be with everybody the whole time, it's like a business set.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really because or if you're doing something that like we said like Once Upon a Time would be another good example. Like each of the characters is uniquely distinctive. As you add more to the troupe, it looks great.
Yeah.
But whereas things like Sanderson sisters, if you don't have all three, the other two don't make sense, and people go, "What are you?
What are you, a witch?"
Yeah, exactly. Like you need the cohesive group. So
exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's always fun to cosplay as a group, like you said, with your friends and everything, and so what would you say is your favorite part of cosplaying?
Getting to wear it.
So you're more the you always like to dress up, so you're like, oh yeah, you get to.
Like it's
Her closet says so.
No, I mean honestly, like it's fun to get to bring these characters to life for people. So it's really fun to get to go to the con and to have people go, oh my goodness, that's my favorite character. I've never seen anyone cosplay that character, or to watch people's eyes light up. It's really one of the coolest things ever to get to bring their favorite characters to life and to kind of make, wow, it's your favorite character, it's my favorite character too.
Yeah.
And so to kind of build that instant connection, like I can't ever replace that.
I mean, for me, it'd probably be like getting to go to all the cons, meeting all the guests, meeting all the cool people, seeing the ingenuity people use to put stuff together and things.
Mm-hmm.
And I like building stuff, so like that's what I like about it. It's more engineering aspecty side, and then just I mean, we've had so many amazing experiences with this over the years. I mean, hell, just for my birthday, I had Mom, happy birthday. He calls me up and happy birthday, Derek, me eat you up.
That's so cool.
And it's stuff like that, making all these especially for me, it's the connections I've made. I'm friends with probably 2/3 of the television shows I watched as a child. Getting to chat with. I mean, we did Sam Sawyer's Kickstarter, and we got to meet Rob Paulson, who is the voice of every character you've ever heard as a child.
Yeah, of course.
The brain, Yakko, and Emmett. We got to hang out and chat with him. I mean, we've got.
He told me, hello, nurse.
Hello, nurse.
And we I mean, we went we went partying up in New York with the Red Power Rangers.
Nice.
That was brought to us because of cosplay. Getting to just meeting all the amazing people we've met over the years, both celebrities, just cool people too.
Exactly.
There's so many cool people in the community, and that's what I really like about it is the community of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's dark sides to it too and downsides, but
of course,
overall, I can't imagine living a different life or having a different job than this point. Like,
Nice.
never go back to a 9 to 5. I did last month to help out like my father-in-law briefly,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I can't do this. I really can't do this. All I had to do was walk the hallway, and I was just like, I can't do this. Like,
it's true. No, it's fun to have that opportunity to start a business and watch it grow and everything like that. So, any last words before we end the interview? Anything you would like to say about your business or your brand, anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, we could give like our handles and stuff. I'm SapphireNovaCosplay. I'm pretty much everything, so you can find me that way.
Yeah.
Superheroes Unlimited on everything. I mean, we're kind of everywhere. Yeah,
Nice.
We have CouchCon coming up on July.
11.
Yes, 11th. Sorry, I thought I said like I thought 11th and said 10th. July 11th. It's free for everybody, whether you want to be a streamer and part of the show or you want to just come watch. We're going to have vendors. We're going to have, I think we're going to have 3 celebrity guests right now.
Nice.
I can't really announce it yet. I mean, I guess.
So, what time does that start?
11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it runs until 4 or 5 p.m. Everything's listed on the site, so if you go to superheroeslimited.com/couchcon, you can see previous couchcons, because that's actually something unique that we're doing that's different than anybody else doing these online cons, is we're archiving everything. So even if you missed the last show, you can go back and check out the live stream from the streamer. You can check out their bio links. It hyperlinks to all their website stores and things along those. While the convention is active, you can get access to various vendor exclusives that the vendors are selling through everything's in-house on the site. Yeah. And that's the big thing. I mean, I guess in other big news, Sapphire's got some new comic book covers coming out.
They do indeed.
Nice.
So we're super excited about that.
You have to keep your eyes open for that.
Of course.
In this month's issue of Cosplay Zine, so you can see me there too.
Nice.
Yeah, lots of fun stuff. But yeah, definitely keep your eyes peeled for those new cosplay covers. Some of them are going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure we put all your social links on the interview and the YouTube channel and everything, and make sure everybody can follow you and make sure everything. Thanks again for the interview. I appreciate it. Appreciate your guys' time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Aries says go
all
buy
right.
awesome.
So take care and see you later.